everyone, and welcome to another awesome episode of Propel You Academy. My name is Dan Diaz, and I will be talking to you about a few advanced strategies that you can use with notes. I'm sure you've heard that owner financing is an awesome, powerful strategy for you to really build a passive income. So what I want to talk to you in the next few minutes has to go beyond the basics. If you're here on this module and you're watching this video, you probably have a basic understanding of what seller financing and owner financing is. And I want to use a little bit of definitions at this point. Whenever I talk about the financing that your seller is giving you, I'm going to use the term seller financing. So if you hear the term seller financing, that means that that's the financing that the seller is providing you. Usually you will wrap that financing with another financing which you will give to your end buyer. That we're going to refer to and always call owner financing because you're the owner and you're financing the property. So seller financing is when it comes from the seller to you. Owner financing is when it comes from you to your end buyer, owner occupant, the person who's finally going to be on the home. So a couple of things that we're going to be covering in the next few minutes is going to be hypothecation. What is it and how can you use it in your owner finance strategy? Note selling, dual loan origination, and note substitution. So again, hypothecation, note selling, dual loan origination, and note substitution. Why are these strategies important? Well, once you start building up a few owner finance transactions, you're going to realize that you've got some great paper. Hopefully, you've done your job. You've done a third-party regional mortgage loan origination on it. Hopefully you're doing a third-party note servicing on it. Hopefully you are escrowing for the taxes and insurance. Hopefully you're already doing that. So if you get some beautiful paper, what can you do with it to raise capital and expand your business? And that's really what the focus of this is going to be. Again, my name is Dan Diaz. You can find me at ofmenow.com, ownerfinancemenow.com. If you want to reach out, my direct mobile number is 210-998-1714. I'd love to connect if you guys have any questions. So let's dive on and let's go ahead and get the show on the road. All right, so the strategies that we're going to be talking about is hypothecation, note selling, and dual loan origination and note substitution. Like I mentioned a little while ago, I want to make sure that our basics are covered. If you are already looking at this video, that means that you probably already understand the basics of what owner financing is. You probably have a couple of deals under your belt, and you want to figure out what it is that you can do with these strategies. So let's talk about the first one, which is hypothecation. Let's define it first. Hypothecation is to pledge something as collateral for the securitization of a debt. Now, I know this might sound like a pretty big term, and I know the first time that I heard it, I was like, "What the heck is that? Like a hippo or what is that?" I don't know. It sounded really complicated. But basically, the term is used mostly among institutional lenders and banks for the securitization of loans. The most common form of hypothecation is the origination of a mortgage. So a lot of people don't know this, but when you go out and you get a traditional conventional loan and you pledge the house as collateral, congratulations, you've done hypothecation, or the lender has done hypothecation. They said, yeah, we'll give you this loan if you give us this home as collateral, and obviously you pledge to pay. However, let's talk about how we can use hypothecation in owner finance transactions. When you owner finance a home, you no longer own the home. You've already put the home in the final buyer's name. The deed is in their name, so you no longer own the home. So what are you left to pledge if you want to? Well, let's talk about a typical owner finance transaction. What you can do is you can hypothecate the note. You can pledge the note. The note is good quality debt. It's good quality money. I mean, it's a great asset that you can take to a bank and a lender and say, hey, will you lend me money based upon this? So let's break it down on how this can be useful to you. And for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to talk about a $100,000 home. Hopefully you've gotten 10% down. You've got 11% fixed interest rate to 30 years. And this is going to be creating a $90,000 note with payments of $857.09. So you've got a $90,000 note because you took 10% down, and this creates payments of $857.09. That's principal and interest. This is not taxes. This is not insurance. This is not HOAs. This is not any of the escrows that you're going to be using. This is simply the principal and interest note. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to walk to your lender, and this will probably be a small community bank. You're going to talk to him, and you're going to say, "Hey, Mr. Bank, I'm an owner of finance, a real estate professional. I want to do some business. I want to get a loan, and I've got some notes that I can pledge as collateral. I want to hypothecate these notes." Don't use the word hypothecate. I mean, it just might throw them off, but that's what you're wanting to do. So what's a typical situation that you can expect with a small community bank? You can probably expect to get about 80% of LTV. You can see that right here. So 80% of LTV is the debt that you're likely to get. With current interest rates, you're probably going to be getting about a 6.5 fixed for about 20 years. These are kind of standard terms that you're likely to be getting under this situation. So let's see how the numbers kind of work out. You're going to be getting an $80,000 debt, so you're going to be getting $80,000. It's going to be a 6.5% fixed interest rate for 20 years, and that'll have monthly payments of $596.46. Again, that's principal and interest only. That's all we're concerned with right now. So how does the cash flow pay out? Well, you have $857 coming in from your owner finance buyer, and you have a debt of $596.46 going out. That means that you're left with about $260.63 as monthly cash flow. So about $857 are coming in, about $600, $596 are going out, and you're left with a monthly cash flow of $260.63. Now, what happens if your owner finance buyer stops paying? Well, you have an $80,000 debt with the bank. You got to figure out how to continue making those monthly payments. You may have to foreclose on your owner finance buyer, but you still have to continue making your monthly mortgage payments to the bank. So kind of keep that in mind. However, this creates a cash flow of $260 per month. You go ahead and take $260.63 per month. You multiply that by 240 months. You created a total cash flow of $62,551.20 for the first 20 years. Now, why do I say the first 20 years? Because if you remember, the mortgage that you got was amortized to 20 years. So that means that the last 10 years, because remember, your owner finance note, you did that one to 30. So you did it to your owner finance buyer to 30, and your hypothecated note was to 20. So that means that after 20 years, you no longer owe the bank anything. So that means that the last 10 years, the entire $857.09 is going to be yours to keep. That's going to be your cash flow. Go ahead and multiply that by 10 years, 120 months. That's $102,850 for a total cash flow during the last 10 years. You go ahead and add $62,000 and change plus $102,000 and change, because it's just change, you know. And we got a total of $165,402 that you've cash flowed. Now remember, because you hypothecated the note, what this did is you were able to get your money back. You were able to get $80,000 back from the loan. So maybe, you know, that $100,000 home that you owner financed, maybe you were only in the hole for 70 or 75 or 78. When you get that $80,000 mortgage from the bank because you hypothecated that note, you're getting all your capital back. So this is a really, really great strategy to get your capital back and recycle it. Once you have that $80,000 back, you can go out and do another deal. And you can go ahead and do another deal and another deal. Now, some of the questions that I get when it comes to hypothecation is, who is doing these deals? You know, what kind of lenders are allowing these kind of transactions? My experience has taught me that the only banks who will do these kind of transactions are one, small community banks, small community lenders. And these are probably individuals, or I'm sorry, these are probably banks, lenders, that need to be a little bit educated as to exactly what you're doing. You need to gain their trust. You probably need to open up a bank account, do a strong deposit with them, and really build a one-on-one relationship. Small community banks have slush fund money. They call it portfolio lending. What they do with this money is usually at their discretion, but they love to see things like these, where they're at 80% LTV, where they're getting 6.5% fixed for 20 years. These are the kind of loans that they really want to do. And I want you guys to know that. So if you want to start getting involved in these transactions, the first thing that I want you guys to do is to start shaking hands, kissing babies, and making friends. Some of y'all have heard me use that phrase before. What that really means is go out and make a friend, and not just any friend. Go to your banks. Ask who's doing commercial lending in your bank. Ask them if they do portfolio lending. Take them out to lunch. Take them out to breakfast. Really get to know them and what they're able to do. And once you kind of start building that relationship, you can let them know, hey, listen, I do owner financing. I build my notes right. I use an RMLO on all of my originations. I use a third-party note servicing company. They're built well. You know, these are people who have skin in the game. I've gotten at least a 10% down payment. Let them know how much money you're making. I have no problem telling my lenders that I'm collecting 11% interest rate. They actually like that because then it makes sense. Hey, he's collecting 11% for 30 years. He can pay 6.5% to 20. You know, they want to see how you're going to make the payment. So that's important. Don't be afraid to really open up the book. So let's talk about the second scenario of how you can use notes, which is essentially to sell the note. Sell the note's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. A lot of people who are in owner financing, they're probably familiar with this situation. I want to run by the numbers of what it would normally look like on a $100,000 deal. If you sell the note, again, the note is going to be an owner-financed home. It's going to be $100,000 in our example, 10% down, 11% fixed interest rate to 30 years. That's going to create a $90,000 note with payments of $857.09. Now, when you sell the note, realize that most note buyers are going to be wanting to be in the 70% LTV. What does that mean? Well, if the home is worth $100,000, they want to buy the note with about a 30% equity margin, and they want to be no more than 70% LTV. So what does that mean for you? Well, that means they'll probably pay you about $70,000 for the $90,000 note. This is known as the discount in owner finance purchases and sales. Now, the net result is that you're going to profit about $80,000 cash. $70,000 from the note sale plus $10,000 from the down payment. That's not a bad situation. If you were, for example, in a typical wholesale transaction, you might be selling it at 71, 72, 73% of ARV minus repairs. Well, now you can build a note and essentially sell it for 80% of ARV minus repairs in this situation. So it's a way for you to be able to pull your cash out and recycle it. Now what sucks, and I'll be honest with you, what really sucks is two things. One, you're going to take a $20,000 hit. That's $20,000 that you're not going to profit from. You're not going to benefit. You're really going to lose. The second thing is that you've done all this work to build this beautiful note. You've done a full RMLO. You're using a third-party note servicing company. You did your closings right. There's title insurance. I mean, it's all done, but you're not cash flowing. You're in the transactional business situation. So yes, it's great for making money for transactional income, but this model doesn't really serve your purpose of building cash flow. Why am I including it here? Because when it comes to owner finance transactions, this is where most owner finance investors begin. They build the note and they sell the note. They build the note and they sell the note. They build the note and they sell the note. And yeah, you can make a little bit more money, you know, at the end of the day, but you're not really doing anything to build that cash flow. So what can we do to fix that mistake? Because we're advanced investors, you know, we're beyond transactional income. Well, a little something that I call dual loan origination. Dual loan origination is essentially when you build two notes. Now, the structure that I prefer is the 70-20-10 note structure. 70-20-10. But you can build, 60-30-10. You can build a 70-10-20. It really doesn't matter. What do these numbers correspond to? Let's break them down. So the first number right here is going to be the LTV of the first lien position. First lien position at 70% loan to cost. The 20, the second number, is going to be the second lien position, which in this example is going to be a 20% loan to cost. And 10% is going to be the last number right here. This is going to correspond to the down payment. So that's how come I said a little while ago, if your buyer is giving you a 20% down payment, well, yours might be a 70-10-20, for example, or maybe a 60 20-20, for example. So it depends. This is the loan structure that I like the most. This is the loan structure that I personally use in my business. Most people, most owner finance buyers have got 10% down. Sometimes they got 15 or 20, but we can adjust it if that's the case. But most end up having 10%. So how does this benefit you? Well, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And option number one, again, the example of the $100,000 home, you can go ahead and owner finance it with 10% down, and you're going to be originating two notes. Remember, 70 and 20. The first one is going to be a 70% LTV note, or $70,000 at 11% fixed interest rate to 30 years. That's going to give you payments of $666.63. Got it? Good. The second one, which is it's a 70-20-10 structure. So the second note is going to be a second lien position at 20% LTV, or $20,000 in this case, at 11% fixed interest rate to 30 years. That's going to give you payments of about $190.46. Again, we're only doing principal and interest calculations at this point. So if you go ahead and take $666.63 plus $190.46, that's $857.09. This is the same exact payment that you had with the first transaction where you simply sold the note. So understand that. $857.09. $857.09. That hasn't changed. That's important. All you're doing right here is breaking it up into two blocks. Now, before we go into the note, into the different structure of the note, why is this beneficial for the borrower? Well, because now you've put them in a position. The old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You're essentially allowed the buyer to now be able to tackle two notes. Maybe it'll be easier for them to refinance. You think it'll be easier for them to refinance a 70% LTV note with the traditional lenders? Maybe they were kind of marginal. They probably could. And then, of course, you would stay in second position. You would remain as a second lien position. But you've done something at no cost to them that costs you nothing to benefit the buyer. Anytime in an owner finance transaction that you're able to do something at no cost to benefit the buyer, that's what you want to do. So I want to stop right here. Even if this had no additional advantage, financial advantage to you, you should do this because this benefits the buyer. And anytime you're able to benefit the buyer, especially when you're in front of a judge, you really want to be in that position. So let's continue breaking down the numbers. Payment is the same, $857.09. Now, in this case, the buyer is gonna realize that the first lien position is already at 70% LTV. So the discount that he's gonna need is not gonna be very big. He might want $5,000, $4,000, $6,000 just in case there's a foreclosure situation. So you're still gonna get hit on the discount, but you're probably not gonna get hit very hard. I say $5,000 is very common. So the note buyer is going to pay you about $65,000 for your $70,000 note. The net result is that you will profit about $75,000 in cash. Where did that come from? $65,000 from the purchase of the note, plus $10,000 from the down payment. So $65,000 from the note buyer and $10,000 from the down payment. You're going to be profiting $75,000 cash. Now you will notice that in this option, you are getting $5,000 less than you would have been getting if you would have sold the entire note out. If you sold the entire note out, if you remember, you would be pocketing about $80,000 cash. So the question is a potential non-gain of $5,000 worth it for me? Well, remember, you're going to be keeping the second lien position note. You're going to be keeping the second lien position note. So what does that mean? You're going to be getting this cash back. You're going to be raising that capital. You can go do another deal. However, you're going to be keeping the second lien position, which is $190.46. That is for 30 years. You'll still have the opportunity to make $68,565. This is where I really want you guys to get into. If you sell the note, you're still in the transactional transactional income situation. But if you break it up into two notes, especially if you follow the 70-20-10 structure, you're going to be able to keep the second lien position for cash flow. So you get your capital back, most of your capital back, and then you keep the second lien position. So the question becomes, is trading $5,000 that you're going to be quote unquote making less for a $2,285 per year gain, giving you a 45% return on year one, worth it to you? I'm going to say that again. With this option, you are going to make $5,000 less up front, but you're going to be given the opportunity of making $2,285 per year for 30 years, $68,000, a 45% return on year one. Hopefully, if you're a real estate investor or investor of any kind, you're able to see that, heck yeah, this is worth it. I'll pay $5,000 any day to get $2,200 a month. That's a 45% return. So breaking up your notes benefits the buyer, it benefits the borrower, which that really should be enough for you to do it. But more importantly, it allows you to get your capital back by selling the first lien position note and adding to your monthly cash flow, which ultimately is what you want to do. However, you might notice that it says option 1. Do y'all think there's a way to make this deal a little nicer, a little juicier? What do y'all think? Well, I want to go over option number 2, where you're still breaking up the deal into 2 notes. First lien position is still at 70% LTV or $70,000. However, you are giving a 10% fixed interest rate to 30 years to the buyer. This is crucial. Why is this crucial? Most note buyers currently are happy with 10% fixed interest rates. They're happier with 11, but they're happy with 10. They are. So if you lower the interest rate on the one you're going to sell to a point that they're still happy, I mean, they'll still buy it all day, every day, and twice on Sunday, that allows you to increase the second lien position to a higher amount. Now remember, this one's the one you're going to be keeping. So let's see how the math adds up. The first lien position, 70% LTV or $70,000, 10% fixed interest rate to 30 years, that's going to create payments of $614.30. The second lien position at 20% of LTV or $20,000 at 14%, that's the baby you're keeping, fixed rate to 30 years, that's going to create payments of $236.97. $614.30 plus $236.97, that's $851.27 to the buyer. Now, if you remember the previous situation, their payment was $857. So, are you benefiting the buyer by lowering their payment $5.82? Better believe it. If you're ever before a judge and they ask you, are you comfortable with this situation? You can say, yeah, I lowered their payment by $5.82. This is defendable. This is supportable in front of any judge. And this is something that you always want to do. Now, this is not legal advice. Go take your own legal advice. But I'm telling you, if I'm before a judge and he asks me, are you comfortable charging 14% interest rate? I'm going to say, well, on a second lien position that's much riskier, and in a situation where I'm lowering the payment by $5.82, absolutely, judge. I am 100% okay. You're within usury rates in the state of Texas, and you're still benefiting the buyer. You've lowered their payment. Now, keep on going with this. So the note buyer is still going to pay you about $65,000 for your $70,000 note. That's called the discount. The net result is that you will profit $75,000 cash, $65,000 from the sale of the note, plus $10,000 in down payment. We're good. We're kosher. It's still going to be $5,000 less, but let's take a look at the situation on your cash flow on your second note. You're going to keep the second lien position note, which is $236.97 for 30 years. That's now $85,309. So the question becomes, you as an investor, by doing this simple tweak to the structure, are you comfortable trading $5,000 for $2,285 per year, giving you now a return of 56% on year one? On year one. And then trading those $5,000 for $85,000 in 30 years. Again, if you're at the point where you're analyzing numbers, where you're looking at data, where you're, the use of an amortization calculator is something you use on a regular basis, on a daily basis, these numbers make sense. You're adding $46 per month to your cash flow and a total of $16,000 over the life of the loan. Now, if you do the math, $46 per month extra, option number one, you're doing about $190. That's about a 20-25% boost, more or less. So this is really a situation that you really want to be in. Note substitution is a situation where you substitute a cash down payment for a note. So a lot of sellers may be open to seller financing, but they really want you to put a cash down payment. And perhaps because of lack of education or fear or greed, one of the two, they want you to put 20-30% down. And you might not have the cash, or the deal might not make a whole lot of sense if you actually put that money down. So how can you you've been building all these little second position lien notes. If you saw the previous episode, you saw a lot of these little second position lien notes that you had. How can you use them? Well, you can substitute them. So you can go ahead and say, hey, listen, Mr. Seller, I know that you want $20,000. Tying up my capital really makes the deal kind of go sour and south in this regards. But what I can do, I understand that you want to make sure that the deal is done. Not only will you be receiving your property and collateral, but I can go ahead and give you this note and assign you this note, or completely give you outright this note instead of the cash down payment. This note has an unpaid principal balance of, I don't know, let's say $20,000, $25,000, $30,000. It pays 10, 11, 12, 13, 14% a year. This is the monthly payment. You can get that instead of my cash down payment. So this is really good because it allows you to start playing with your notes in a way in which you might have not been able to in the past, and it allows you to preserve your capital. You always want to try and preserve your capital as much as you can. If it needs to be deployed and the deal makes sense, you need to deploy it. But if there's a way that you can use all of these notes that you've been building to substitute for a cash down payment, well, that'll make sense, and that'll allow you to really go further. This is primarily used, like I said, when you're purchasing with seller financing. What are some of the common uses that I personally do when it comes to note substitution? Well, we can offer to give them the second lien position of another note that you have in lieu of a cash down payment. This allows you to buy with no cash out of pocket from you. So this is kind of what I was mentioning a little while ago. You can talk to the seller and say, hey, listen, Mr. Seller, you're asking for $20,000 down. I want the deal. I love the deal. I want to do the deal. Unfortunately, tying up my capital in this deal doesn't make sense for me at this time. However, I want to protect you. So not only am I pledging the capital not only am I pledging the collateral that you're giving me, which is the house, but I'm willing to give you this second lien position note in lieu of the cash down payment so that you can collect this interest and you can have something else to tie yourself down to. This is going to require a lot of education on your part. You really need to build the trust between you and the seller so that they don't feel like you're giving them fluff. You're actually giving them something tangible and something worthwhile. But if they realize it, if you do a good enough job of delivering the message and doing your pitch, you're going to be able to go into that deal with zero money down. So instead of putting $20,000 cash, you can put a note that has an unpaid principal balance close to or around $20,000 and assign them that income to the seller. Another option that you can use it, you can offer to assign them the second lien position payments with the condition that the note is returned when the down payment is paid to the seller. This buys you time until you collect the down payment that they want. So again, a situation where maybe they're asking for a reasonable down payment, maybe 10%, 15%, 20% down payment. What you can say is, listen, Mr. Seller, it's going to take me a little bit of time to put the down payment together. Currently, the capital that I have, I'm not able to allocate it into this deal, but I want this deal, and I want to show you that I want this deal. So what I can do is I can assign the payments of this other note, you know, that's maybe $15,000, $20,000, $25,000, whatever makes sense to you, whatever you have in your availability, in your storehouse. Always have stuff to sell. I tell people all the time, you always need to have something to sell. And you're going to say, I'll assign these payments to you while I gather the down payment that you're wanting. Once I gather the down payment that you're wanting, we're going to trade again. You're going to get the cash. I'm going to get the payments back. So you're able to assign the second lien position payments with the condition that they give it to you back when you give them the down payment. Most sellers are okay with this because ultimately what they want is they want the cash down payment, and ultimately you've worked hard to make that second lien position note. So you want to get it back too. So that's something that you want to do. This is a great strategy when you're wanting to buy time. The last option, you can bundle several second lien position notes and either give them to a seller in exchange for their home or assign it to them until the home is paid off. I have purchased homes and wholesaled them this way. So I've got a seller that says, hey, you know, I'm selling my home for $100,000. I can say, well, listen, Mr. Seller, I understand that you want the cash right now. I'm not able to give you the cash right now. I'm not able to put the capital together to make this happen right now. But what I can do is I can bundle. I've got these 5 $20,000 second lien position notes that I can either give you in exchange for the house, and we're washed, or I can assign the payments to you. You get that income until I can get you the $100,000 for the home. Now, keep in mind when you do this, it's going to be a trade. So you're going to be getting the deed to the home. Essentially, that'll be zero money out of pocket. All you're doing is you're giving them monthly payments, the payments that you would be getting with the notes. Technically, this is possible simply by asking the seller, hey, are you willing to sell or finance the home to me? I mean, you can do that, but sometimes you need to phrase things in a way, in a different way. Maybe the seller says no to your original proposal, and if you throw these different things, different options at them, it might make sense to them. It might make sense to them. So, you know, let's say maybe you assign it to them, you know, for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, or a year, 2 years, 3 years. It doesn't really matter. But what's nice about this last strategy, if you're going to be assigning the payments, is that there is no time limit. If you were to do a straight seller finance transaction and you give yourself a 12-month balloon or a 36-month balloon or whatever the seller needs, well, you're sitting in a ticking time bomb. And you got to come up with that money. But when you do it this way, the way the deal is written up is you're assigning the payments until you can get the money for the home. So you're no longer under a ticking time bomb, which is kind of nice. What can you do with the home once it's yours? You can put it on the MLS and sell it. You can go ahead and do an owner finance situation. You can sell the note. You can create another one. I mean, the home is yours at that. We can rent it. You know, you can do a lot of different things. Always make sure the math adds up, because the second lien position notes that you were assigning to him, if you've been doing them correctly, you know, they're probably at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14% interest rate. So kind of keep that in mind. Well, I hope you've gotten value from learning a little bit about how to use note substitutions. When it comes to owner finance transactions, the last thing that I want to cover is how do you fund these transactions? Well, there's a couple different ways that you can choose to fund these transactions. Some of them are personal. Self-directed IRA, if you don't have one, go to Quest IRA. They're really good at setting up a self-directed IRA. I've heard, I haven't used it, but I've heard that people use HELOCs from their personal homes. Again, it's not my preferred method. It's not something I've used, but it's something that I have seen other people use quite effectively. Finally, another personal way of funding owner finance transactions are cash reserves and money from refis. I want to talk a little bit about this. When you refi your property, guys, it's not the time to go on vacation. This is not your personal slush fund. This is your business money that should only be used to grow your business. Now, yeah, you can justify it and say, well, I'm a director in the company. I'm the owner of the company. I deserve, a payday or whatever, and that's fine. That's between you and your business. But if you're going to be smart about your business and you're going to be treating your business like a business, you're going to be using the money from refis back into your company, either marketing or buying more deals. What are some private ways you can fund owner finance transactions? Other people's self-directed IRAs. If you guys go to events that are hosted by Propelio, by Host, your local real estate investor, meetups, you need to go to those and you need to talk to people and say, hey, I recently put this deal together. I was able to, return to my private lender, a private investor, X amount of, money per month or per year. Is this something that you want to have a conversation about? So other people's self-directed IRAs are a good choice. Other people's cash reserves. There's people with cash out there all the time. Before I became a full-time real estate investor, I was the general manager for Palm Harbor Homes, and it would blow me away how many folks would come in, and folks that you'd never imagine. There is people with cash out there. There is people with a ton of liquid cash in boxes, in trash bags out there. So, start shaking hands, kissing babies, making friends. I want to talk about subject to deals. Subject to deals, I put them under private because it's from the seller who's kind of funding these. I'm not going to talk extensively about how to acquire subject to deals. Grant has done a very, very good job, and Propelio Academy has given plenty of information on how to take down subject to deals. Do your research on them, but that's a private way also of funding your owner finance transactions. Finally, I do want to talk about institutional money, which is small community banks and hedge funds. Small community banks throughout the state of Texas, and I imagine the country, I can't speak for the country, but I can speak for the state of Texas. Small community banks have slush funds. They've got something called portfolio lending. That is a small amount of internal cash that they will lend out for internal things. I talked in a previous episode about hypothecation. That's where that money comes from. So get to know your bankers. Find out where they play golf. Find out where they have breakfast, where they have lunch, where do they hang out, and start shaking some hands and meeting some people. There's hedge fund money out there. The internet is a great place to look for them, but so is just shaking hands, kissing babies, and making friends. Start asking around, who are hedge fund managers, what are they looking for. I can tell you from personal experience that one of our biggest sources of funding is a small family-owned hedge fund. He manages a personal fund, but I met him at a bar. My wife and I were, it was a Friday night. We always drink with a purpose. And I encourage y'all to do the same. Drink with a purpose. When you go out, drink with a purpose. Make it a point to always connect with someone. Give your business card out. Take their business card. Found a gentleman who was at the bar, struck up a conversation about the bourbon he was drinking, and we hit it off. Turned out that he manages a small family hedge fund. That's his job. And he was expressing to me that they would love to see opportunities for them to make a regular 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% return on their investment. So guess who bought his bourbon that night? I mean, that's just the way it goes. So institutional, small community banks, and hedge funds, those are things that you guys want to talk about, that you guys want to connect with. Again, I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen here today. Drop my contact information. My name is Dan Diaz. I've been a full-time real estate investor since November of 2015. I have transacted in several $1 million worth of real estate transactions in the state of Texas. We're involved heavily in owner financing. We also do wholesale transactions. We love partnering with wholesalers to bring their deals to the marketplace. Contact information, you got my mobile number, cell phone number, email address, website, Facebook, connect on Instagram and all that good stuff. I love to hear from you guys. I want to give a big shout out to Daniel and to Ryan and to Trayvon and to all the people at Propel You Academy that are helping to put this together. Please, big shout out. Let the world know that this platform is available. There's no need to pay people $10, $15, $20, $50,000 to teach you what you guys can learn here. I hope you guys have a great one. See you guys next time.